Good morning, everybody. Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg here in Las Vegas. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning, Jim.
How are you today?
Fine. Just hanging out at home like everybody else.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. I think almost every state has increased numbers. Hopefully these vaccines, we got 3 or 4 vaccines that are on the market. They're coming close, so hopefully they work. We're all praying for the same stuff. Go back to normal, if there is such a thing as normal. We were just talking about it. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think we had 14 or 15 postponements or cancellations in college football last week. And we got about the same amount again this week. Pretty crazy to keep these schedules going and try to figure it all out. We don't have any cancellations or postponements in the pros, but we have some cautious bookmakers are not putting lines up on some of the games with the quarterbacks and the COVID and all that going on, and I don't blame them. They can get blindsided with information. If they don't get on top of it first and the players get it, it can make a big difference.
Well, last week was kind of interesting because the Arizona game opened at 1, went to 1.5, and I gave it out on Thursday at 1.5 on the ESPN show. And then after the show was over, the game had gone to 2.5, and it wound up at 3. So the books got middled on the game.
Sure did.
And they, didn't kick the extra point, which was a smart thing to do, because the only way they could have lost the game at that point after miraculous pass play was if they missed the extra point and it got run back on them. And the other game was the game where the guy didn't run the ball in, and he had a chance there. It was a 3. Cleveland was a 3-point favorite. Excuse me. Chubb had a huge run, and instead of running it in, he stopped at the end and fell down, and they won by 3 when they could have covered.
Yep. That was a shocker to a lot of people, but I understand the play. The coaches are getting a little, actually pretty smart. You make those kind of moves, you can't lose, and running another play just adds the chance of people getting hurt. So I understand it. I didn't like it because I had the.
It wasn't about people getting hurt. That's not why he didn't run in. He didn't run in because they didn't want to run one more play and take a chance of coughing it up and having a return for a score.
So they took a knee.
Yeah.
Right. Got a lot of games that we can talk about. Tonight's game, there's a big game tonight. This is a huge game, very important game. Arizona against Seattle. Seattle's at home, laying 2.5 or 3 now. The numbers come down. And the total was 58, and it's now 56.5 or 57. Russell Wilson.
Well, Arizona is a big game for them. And they've got... Edmonds at the running back position, and Murray is also producing a lot of yards running, and Seattle has no defense, and they have no offensive line. And last week, Lockett didn't have a big game. Seattle threw 3 interceptions, all to Williams, the same guy. Don't know what's going on with them. I was expecting Carson to play some, and we'll see about that. And Hyde, of course. Hyde can take a lot of pressure off Russell Wilson, but he's got something wrong with him right now.
Well, he's first of all, he's carried the team the whole year, and maybe that's just too much. It's not maybe. You need to have other people step up. Their defense is absolutely horrendous. Setting records, giving up more passing yards than any team ever in NFL history. You'd have to say Seattle's not a very good team. They have a very good quarterback, and their offense is very potent. But their team-wise, it's not very good. Injuries. They haven't been hit by the COVID, but they got the injuries. Offensive line, running backs, the same. It's funny, the running backs all got hurt last year at the end of the year as well.
They just have to get some degree of a running game. The quarterback runs the ball a little bit from time to time, but they just. But 10 turnovers in 3 games. You can't forgive that. You think you can do everything? You can't. New Orleans is an interesting story without Breeze. They're playing Atlanta this week. But they've got, they're lucky in one respect in that they've got, they've got 2 great running backs in Kamara and Murray. They got Thomas back as a receiver. They're very deep in running backs. They've got 2 quarterbacks who can play, and they got Jameis Winston, and they got Tyson Hill. Winston will probably play to some degree. He just has to make sure he doesn't make any stupid passes, which has been solid in the past. But they were very deep. They made a big investment in the quarterback position. Breeze will be out for at least 2 weeks, maybe longer. He has 2 broken ribs, and he's got a 3rd injury. And Atlanta is, the usual. So, but Atlanta, New Orleans, last I saw was a 4-point favorite, and they're home. They should be okay.
The current line at some of the bigger offshore books, we're looking at 5 and the total 50. 4.5 in some other spots. Jameis came in last week and he played conservative. He basically ran the same offense that Breeze has been, and didn't really extend. The question now was, will they try to extend and throw the ball a little deeper, because he has a much bigger arm. And of course, Taysom Hill he's a hell of an athlete. That guy, he can play any position. It's amazing. Very good team. Atlanta, since they changed coaches, has played very well, and they could have won a game where their running back should have not run into the end zone, and he did. And they did lose that game, but they've played well since the new coach got there. Division rivalry. You got a division road dog here. And Atlanta has played well over the years at New Orleans, at least against the spread. Interesting game.
New Orleans defense has been playing much better. Although last week I think they were playing San Francisco. They won by 2 touchdowns. They didn't have any problems. Cleveland is playing well. They've got 2 really good running backs. Chubb is running the ball as well as anybody right now. And they've got another running back who gives them a break. And they could have won the game by 10 if they wanted to last week. Play Philadelphia. Philadelphia is, boy, they're all over them in that town. They, Wentz, last week was sacked 3 times, threw for 208 yards, and we lost convincingly to the Giants. Excuse me, the Giants beat them by 10 points. Wasn't even close. They started to make a little run, and the Giants just ran the ball down the field on them. Their defense is not good. They thought they were, as I told you last week on the show, when we were talking about a couple of their receivers coming back, I said they were going to be limited in how much they could play. That was correct.
Well, Cleveland hasn't played a game at home lately that they haven't had bad weather. It's been extremely windy, wet, rain, everything. The weather conditions this week do not look bad for that. So they'll have a clearer field. And Cleveland right now is 3.5-point favorite. 47.5 is the total. Any other games stand out here? I mean, the big game.
Well, I think we should mention that Bridgewater is an injury problem, and they got problems. He can't carry a team, and they don't have McCaffrey again. They're playing a Detroit team who doesn't have Amendola. They got a good runner. And Swift, but they've got Jones, who's pretty decent. They're not playing all that bad. But, New England, how about New England?
Well,
they beat Baltimore last week. Now they're playing Houston. Houston has no running game whatsoever. They've got, this is another case of a former Belichick assistant. Newton last week didn't make mistakes, and Myers has developed as a reliable pass catcher, and Harris ran for 121 yards last week. And it was hard to understand why Baltimore's defense didn't make some adjustments to the New England running game. And once again, we found out that that Jackson can't come from off the pace. And by the way, New England has won a couple of games in a row now.
Yeah, they're a typical Belichick team. They start off slow and start getting. I would look for a run from them. I think that the Patriots are going to put it together and put a little run together. They don't have the most talent in the league, but Belichick teams, and they have a good staff. They know what they're doing. And the Texans, of course.
I don't agree with you. In order for them to put a little run together, they in the past they haven't had anybody in their division to beat. This year they got 2 teams that are playing extremely well. One of them is Miami, and the other one is Buffalo. I don't think they can beat either one of those teams.
Well, I was more aligned with this game this week. The Texans aren't either one of those. The Texans are a bit of a mess. Other than the fact they have
you were talking about putting a run together, and in order to go anywhere, they're going to have to advance in their division. I don't think they can with the talent they have versus the talent those other 2 teams have. Miami right now, I was talking to Bob Greasy yesterday, and he said that, about Tua, Miami has the second or the third worst. They rank 3rd from the bottom in total offensive yardage. And yet, they keep winning. And the way they win now is on special teams and defense. Their defense keeps generating turnovers, and their special teams keeps putting them in great position so that their touchdown runs are all they're getting the ball inside the 30 all over and over again. And so that's how Tua is able to work with a small field, and that's why they keep winning. It's interesting. This week they go to Denver to play a team that's in real trouble. Their quarterback had 4 turnovers last week, and they kept him in the game for some odd reason. And, they should beat Denver without too much trouble. Here's a team that's just keeps turning the ball over against a team that generates a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, Denver might have to look for another quarterback. The young man there is not playing very well and makes some bad decisions. Now, when I talk about New England, if they would win this week, next week they would be at home. It'll be a home underdog. Right now the number's 2.5. Arizona 2.5 at New England. Arizona would be crossing the country to play them off of a Seattle game, which would put New England in a pretty good spot emotionally, playing another non-division rival. They could win both of these games. And, then the other teams, you have to look for Buffalo and Miami to stumble. But I like the way Buffalo and Miami are playing. I thought Buffalo should have won last week.
Well, you talk about Miami and if they're going to stumble. Look at their schedule the next 3 weeks.
I don't have it in front of me, Hank.
They play nobody.
Oh, I like the way they're playing. I mean, I've been betting on them. I like the way they're playing.
They got 3 softies the next 3 weeks. And that division is going to come down to the end of the season when Miami has to play at Buffalo.
And at the end of the season, Miami could be playing at Buffalo in some bad weather. That is possible. Which they're not used to. Yeah, next week Miami has the Jets, that's a bit of a joke. And Buffalo plays at home against the Chargers, which seems to find a way to lose every week no matter what happens. So that's...
and who does Miami play the week after that? Do you have that?
Let me see if I do not have it with me. No, let me see the November.
It's another softie.
Miami plays the Jets, and then after that, I don't have it. I don't have the schedule. I was looking mostly on the point spread stuff because there's a lot of lines up for next week already. So, I mean, like for example, the Cardinals are 2.5 at New England. They're bettable numbers. You can go bet them. But focused on this week, there's a big game. There's a couple big games. One of them, I don't know what we're going to do about a line because of COVID, but one of the big games is, two of them actually, Titans and Ravens and Packers and Colts. They're pretty good games on paper. They look like they should be competitive.
Well, the Packers and Colts was about 2.5 with Indianapolis favored. And the Packers right now, I mean, they gave up 304 yards to Luton with Jacksonville. And he threw for 3 touchdowns against them. And they only scored 24 points against Jacksonville. Rodgers had kind of an off and on day. He has Adams back, and he's got the guy with the 2 peculiar last names. But Indianapolis right now is playing very well.
Yeah,
they've got a great defense.
Yeah, their defense.
And they've got a real good running game. And the quarterback is not making mistakes, and he's playing well. And he's going up against Green Bay defense that's non-existent. So I think Indianapolis it's a big game for them to keep winning.
Yeah, let me give you an update on the number, Hank. It's had a lot of 2.5s, but now I'm looking at a couple offshores that just went to 1 and 1.5. So the money's coming in on the Packers.
You know what that is? That's stupid money. That's Green Bay money. You know, that happens every week. and every week the Packers fail to cover. Happened last week. Green Bay was a 14-point favorite.
Yeah, they didn't play that well last week. I mean, I had the dog in that. Well, I take double digits a lot, but I like the Colts in this game. I really do, and I laid a bad number. I laid 2. I should have waited. I should have waited, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. Put a money line bet in on the Colts. I think they're a solid team and playing well. You brought it up defensively. They're right there, one of the best defenses in the league.
They got a very good coaching staff, and I saw the coach doing a long interview yesterday, and he's very confident. He's very happy with the running game. They've got receivers who are helping out. And right now, they're just they play well every week. Last week, they played a great game again. And then the other game is Baltimore, Tennessee. Tennessee's something that got problems. They just aren't playing well. I'll tell you, Tannehill looks like the old Tannehill from Miami. Not making good decisions, and he's not putting the ball up with any effectiveness, and they're trying too much. They're just depending on Henry. Meanwhile, Baltimore, they need this game after last week, and their defense is good, and they've got they've got a running game that should be able to move the ball against Tennessee's banged up defense. And then the other game is Minnesota-Dallas.
Well, Dallas hasn't shown very much at all this year. So, hold on, man. A little noise from the crowd. Dallas has not shown much this year, and they're going back to the red rifle at quarterback.
Yeah. Actually one of the best games of the week is Kansas City and Las Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas is having protocol, stuff with the COVID, so a lot of the books don't have a number up on it right now. I don't know what they're going to do with the line on that. It's
probably going to be around 7. That's what it is in the contest, and this is a revenge situation for Kansas City because Vegas already beat them once this year. Las Vegas is a team that is a run first. They're one of the few teams in the league that's run first. Between Jacobs and Booker, they had 4 touchdowns between them last week, and they were never in trouble in that game. And Kansas City has changed their approach, and that they don't throw the ball as frequently as they used to because they've got 2 great running backs, and that's their philosophy now. Their problem is that they're not great on defense, but the thing with Vegas is they're not a difficult team to defend because they are very consistent in what their play calling is. They just run. So, and then there's the Rams in Tampa Bay. I mean, the week finishes up strong.
That's a big game, the Rams Tampa Bay. I mean, there's been quite a bit of money coming in on Tampa, but that might have to do with the Rams' defense, with their offensive lineman Whitworth being out, and that's a big loss. Andrew Whitworth got hurt last week; he lost his knee, and that might be a reflection of that. And I agree, that's a big loss. Offensive line, left tackle, that's tough.
Well, the Rams played very well last week. Goff, he threw 37 times, completed 27 passes for over 300 yards. They do have Donald on defense. Akers, Kopp, and Woods are going to share the running game, and Brown is a good deep threat. And, Tampa Bay on the other side, Jones took over the running game for them. He ran for 190 yards. Brady had a good game. He's got plenty of, he's got Gronk and Miller. That should be, there should be a lot of offense in that game, I would think.
Yeah, you should. I would expect there'll be a lot of offense in that game. The big question will be is that Tampa's going to do a lot of blitzing. They're going to try to take advantage of Whitworth being out and get to Goff. And Goff has not performed well under pressure. He's good with a clean pocket. So we're going to have to see if McVay can find protection for him, because that's necessary with that guy.
Tampa Bay always does a lot of blitzing, and it really killed them against New Orleans a couple of weeks ago, and Breeze just took advantage of it. And I'm sure that the Rams offensive coaches are going to look at that and come up with some offenses and some short quick passes to try to offset the blitzes that Tampa Bay consistently comes with.
I agree with that.
I think they blitz too much.
Well, Hank, anything else on the sports scenes you want to talk about?
Well, I don't have any opinions on the NBA draft. I didn't watch it.
No, I didn't either.
I'll go over it when I have more time. But it was, they've got that work done now with the NBA, and I'm concerned about the college football season. They're going to get enough games in for these teams. Now they're talking about how they're going to get games in for postseason.
Yeah, it's real rough what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, I envy the effort, but it's really, really difficult to battle this COVID. It's really a mess.
Now, the other thing is most of these schools are going to shut down after Thanksgiving. Not going to be any students in school.
Wow. Well, 2020 is not a year that we'd like to repeat, so hopefully when we turn the calendar, things get better.
Let's hope so.
And stay safe, Hank. And I know you're staying home, and so am I. And we'll talk again next week. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you stay safe too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Support for this episode has been provided by Ratio Keto-Friendly Crunchy Bars. If counting macros makes your head spin, count instead on a snack by Ratio. They've done the math for you, so you can spend less time studying the label and more time enjoying your day. Delicious and convenient, both their toasted almond and lemon almond flavors have 2 grams of net carbs and a unique combination of sugar and protein, all in a satisfying crunch. Interested? Ratio Keto-Friendly Bars are now available in the granola bar aisle at Walmart.
At Intermountain Healthcare, you get the same healthcare partners' caregivers you trust, but you also get more, like more nationally renowned specialists. Intermountain Healthcare, formerly Healthcare Partners Nevada. Visit intermountain.com/Nevada.